You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Welcome back to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about jiu-jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a purple belt who trains at Franklin Jiu-Jitsu Club located in Franklin, Indiana. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Alvey.
Correct. Yep, that's it, Brian
All right.
Alvey. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, the pleasure is all mine, sir. How was your day so far?
Oh man, I have no complaints. Nobody's shooting at us.
You said what?
Nobody's shooting at us.
Life
is good. Life is good.
Life is good. All right, man. Well, let's get the ball rolling. If you want to formally introduce yourself again, by all means, and let's hear your jiu-jitsu journey.
Sure. Brian Alvey. I started jiu-jitsu just a hair over 4 years ago. Did a lot of combatives in the past, various different martial arts, predominantly growing up as a young boxer. Did a lot when I was in the military, off and on. I started a not-for-profit for veterans a few years ago to help raise awareness and funds for combat veterans struggling with effects of post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injuries, which most of us realize that is what leads to the epidemic that is veteran suicide. And one of the big things I missed, and I'm not going to profess to be the smartest guy in the room. I do not have the alphabet letters behind my last name. That's for those doctors or smart guys. But there's something I recognized, especially when I started doing jiu-jitsu, because with my own personal issues and TBI and whatnot, sustaining head strikes anymore at this point in my life was not a good idea. And I quickly connected with somebody that I knew through my college football community, and he is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he says, man, I got something for you. You need to come try this. Well, I started doing it, and then I just realized the positive mental effects that I was benefiting from. And like I said, I don't know how it works, but it definitively does. So I've been on a mission now where we adjusted fire on our not-for-profit with veterans a bit to try to do the best we can to get veterans out there on the mats doing jiu-jitsu for the mental therapeutic just benefits of it all. It's not just the physical aspect. It's tremendously the mental aspect of it. It's been amazing. So incorporating that into my journey now here, going, a little my own personal journey in jiu-jitsu. That's, like I said, it's I've been immersed in it for a little over 4 years now. It's just been absolutely amazing, just in so many different ways for me.
Oh yeah. I've been doing it for it's coming up on 7 years in the beginning of May. So we're just gonna say beginning of May, and it changed my life just subnaturally. I can't stress enough how much jiu-jitsu has changing my life for the better, especially mentally, especially mentally.
Well, let's get the physical part out of the way. Obviously, the cardio is insane. The cardiovascular benefits I get from it, that, believe it or not, it's a lot less impact than actually running or anything of the nature, because you're not, you don't have the impact of what, if I ran my whole life, all the sports I did, everything I did in the military, I never enjoyed a millisecond of it. Those people that talk about this runner high, I think that's a ploy to get me to join some sort of cult. I hate it. I've hated running every step I've ever taken in the process of running. And the cardio is, it's unparalleled. You get great cardio from anything like that, whether it be boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, or anything. And I did an extreme ultra marathon almost 2 years ago. It's a 50 kilometer ultra marathon through the Hoosier National Forest. Absolutely horrific idea. That was actually the last time I've ran. I'm done. I'm not running anymore. I'm over 50 years old, and I get all my cardio through jiu-jitsu. The cardio is amazing, but you also get a lot of strength training from it, flexibility. The physical benefits to jiu-jitsu, I don't care if you're 7 or you're 70, you could be doing jiu-jitsu in some sort of form or fashion and absolutely benefit from just the cardio alone. But then you get into the physical aspect. It's definitely great for the strength training, the flexibility. It's unparalleled, honestly, in anything I think that's available out there.
Oh yeah. It's nothing like it. Like I love being, I love going to the gym, and I do kickboxing as well, but it's just jujitsu, man. It's just, oh man, I know we just keep, we keep talking about how therapeutic it is, but that's just like an understatement.
Well, I don't think
On
you
like,
can be 100% mentally whole if you're not doing well physically. If you are out of shape, overweight, or anything like that, it's just you're gonna have a hard time getting in front of that. To where you're 100%. Or I don't think any of us are ever 100% anything. But let's say you're 90% plus, mentally, if you're not at least feeling pretty good about your journey towards improvement physically at a minimum.
yeah,
Just looking in the mirror, knowing who you are, just man, I come out of that gym higher than a kite every time I roll. Physically I'm like, oh wow, that's amazing. I just got all these young studs beating me up, and I come out of there though, and I'd say even let's back that up a little bit. I can be having the worst day, and we all get there. You have that black cloud over your head of just a bad day, and I'll be at home, laying on the couch, just like I just don't want to do anything in this moment. I just want to be inside of whatever this is right now, and I just know from practical experience, not just theory, practical experience, that if I go grab my bag and I go get in my truck, and then I drive to the gym, and I put my gi or my rash guard, no gi stuff on, and I get on that mat, one first 5-minute roll, and I will sit up, and it's gone. That black, I don't even know where that black, I don't think it traveled away. I think it just dissipates. It's almost magical how that just gone. All my problems, I don't know if it's as simplistic as you can't worry about your problems when you're worried about breathing or not getting off far, but whatever causes it, I don't care. It works, and it works every single time. It's the best drug there is.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, man. And everybody that does jiu-jitsu has to agree with that. Like, you have those days where you don't want to go to the gym. You're like, man, I'm tired. I'm mentally, tired, but it's like, I gotta go. I need to go to the gym. No matter how tired I am, I need it. Like, I need to go to the gym.
And then it recharges you, and you can chase whatever else you do. I own a few businesses. I run a non-for-profit, and it just clears my head to where I can focus again. I can work real hard and accomplish whatever's on my plate with those organizations. I could be a great dad. I could be a good husband. It clears your mental mechanism, and it allows you to run at peak performance in everything you do mentally. It just clears the cobwebs
every time.
Yeah, I wish I could figure out what it was, but or how it does what it does. But I'm not that guy. I'll let those smart guys with the alphabet behind their names figure that stuff out. And in the meantime, I'll be over here rolling. So I'm good to go.
I mean, I think you kind of actually said the answer. Well, to me, I feel like you said the answer when you say you can't focus on your problems and jiu-jitsu at the same time.
Yeah,
because if you focus on your problems versus your jiu-jitsu, it's going to hurt you more, because you're like, I let all this stuff outside bother me, and I sucked on the mats. I was terrible. But when you like, okay, I can't think about this right now. Slap bump, let's go. And once all your focus goes onto jiu-jitsu, by the time you get in the car, you everything is automatically figured out.
Well, it's really easy. You don't even have to think about making that shift, because you get down into your reptilian brain, your self-preservation mode, caveman brain, whatever you want to call it. You immediately shift into your body's going there, your mind's going there anyway. You have to be consciously trying to continue to think about the other problems or things that you have in your life, not to just go there. If you just let it go and you start working on self-preservation, man. Your best time, being a white belt's awesome, because you get a lot of benefits from it, because you're just in straight survival mode that whole time. You're just like, I'm just trying to find an inch so I can breathe an extra 5 seconds, and then it gets to 10 seconds. And then next, the bell goes, it was a 5-minute round. You sit up like, wow, that was amazing. I'm clear, and, I've worked my way up to a purple belt right now. So, a little bit better than I was, and nowhere near ready to strap on the the expert belt by any means. And it's just so you win some, you lose some, but regardless, you get the same positive mental impact at the end of that 5 minutes, whether you spent the whole time warding off a very aggressive skilled guy, or if you're working with a brand new guy who's been on the mats maybe 6 months, and you're trying to help him work through some stuff. It still clears your mental mechanism. I think the best thing, I love it. So we've got some amazing instructors at our gym. We've got a handful of really good black belts and brown belts there that I'll go roll with the younger guy. Well, I call him the younger. Everybody's younger than me. The blue belts and the white belts, and I'll work things. You're letting them work, and you're working on your thing. And then, I swim over to the next guy on the mat, and he just happens to be one of those high-level guys. And it's just, I'm 5 minutes of absolutely just surviving. And just working on your defensive techniques and everything, and I think the biggest thing is in that process, you learn, I've done a lot of stuff in my life, that I've already been there, but this is a constant reminder and ability to tap into this for the rest of my life, of just maintaining your ability to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That translates to the rest of your life. I'll sit down, we'll be talking about something in business or something, and and we'll be working on a problem, and in the back of my head I'm like, well, nobody's choking me. That's it. Nobody's about to break my arm. Life's good. So it's like I can't write a check big enough to thank. I'm sure they'd like me to try.
I know, right?
The guys that I've had the opportunity to roll with, all the instructors that imparted their knowledge on me, the young guys that push me, everybody, the whole team concept. And I think that's a big part of what you get, both as a man and a woman, that team, that camaraderie, getting on the mats just for an hour and a half a day, 2 to 4 times a week, wherever you're at. I've really had to scale mine back just because I've got a lot of injuries, quite a few surgeries in the past, whatnot. And I'm getting a little older, 51 now. So I'm really good at two good sessions a week, 3 if there's a heavy amount of drilling involved, not just open rolls, just because if I go any harder, I'm just not going to be, I'll be out all next week, and the last thing I'm prevent my opportunity to train. But, and you get surrounded with a really good group of guys, especially, the benefits of, I let the guys, I pressure them hard, but I let the white belts and blue belts work, because you were taught that, because the brown belts and the black belts above me do the same thing for me. We've got a few black belts. The owner of the gym that I go to, who's been my predominant instructor my entire career, Jason Ramey. He's one of the proprietors of Franklin Jiu-Jitsu Club. Him and his business partner Scott Coxey, who's also an instructor, is a brown belt. I work with them every time I go in there. One, if not both of them, are in there. And they constantly push me. They constantly make me better. They constantly challenge me. And and it's an amazing. But then I go in the evenings, and there's all these other black belts, and I could spend this whole podcast just talking about how great all these guys are and what they bring to the table for me and every other guy in there. And I feel like, as weirdo who just joined a cult, I can see where it could benefit anybody and everybody. And if you're not already doing jiu-jitsu, you need to get in there. You need to try it, because anybody can. I don't care what your situation is, your injuries, obviously there are some showstoppers, but I always tell people, every excuse I've ever heard for not doing jiu-jitsu is usually the exact reason you should be doing jiu-jitsu. Well, I want to get in shape first. I'm like, what do you think this is for? This is what gets you in shape. Well, I'd like to get more flexible. Oh, we can help with that. It's called murder yoga for a reason. Involuntary yoga or whatever. Chiropractic. It just stop making excuses, because that's exactly what they are, excuses, and get your ass on the mat. And let's go. Let's try it. Nobody's going to, everybody knows you're the brand new guy. And everybody, I don't give a shit what you've done in your lifetime. I've done a lot of different martial arts, the boxing, everything, been to war, all that bull. And when I started jiu-jitsu, lost in the sauce. 100%.
Yeah.
You know,
Instantly.
you are drinking from a fire hose of information. You can't possibly swallow a teaspoon at the moment. It's just, everybody's first 3 months is just horrible. It's just, you're good or bad at it. So just embrace it. Embrace the suck. Go in there and get through it. Wait for that light at the end of the tunnel. Wait for it to click, and just know that it's just a wonderful moment that you realize, okay, this is for me, or it may not be for you. I don't, there's not everything's for everybody, but I really think a high majority of the people on this planet today can benefit from this. Tremendous. It's tremendous.
Tremendously, man. And yeah, you hear those excuses. Oh, I'm too, I need to get in shape first, or I'm too big, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, no, dude. Like, I just had a guy, I just did an episode with a guy who has cerebral palsy, and he trains as much as he possibly can.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's no excuse, man. That shows you there should be no excuse why you're not out there trying your best.
I'm blanking on his name right now. He's a local combat veteran out of the Indianapolis area. Big guy. Lost his lower, I think it's his left leg in combat. Former Marine. I think he was in the Iraq War. Anyway, that guy is, I'm going to use this pun on purpose. He is walking through people on the mat right now. The guy is amazing. You know what? Because he was fresh out of excuses. It's not how he's wired. He's got on the mat. And this guy, I'm watching this guy beat people in tournaments that are just that are tremendously good in their own right. It's just, I see guys. We've got a few guys in our gym that when they started, they were definitely overweight. They were heavy, and now, man, they are looking lean and mean and just amazing. And it just you just see a difference in their daily demeanor, the way they walk and talk and everything. It just their confidence is through the roof, and everything in life. And it's just, wow. Spend 6 to 8 hours doing something a week, and you get this. Well, why isn't everybody all in?
Sign me up.
You're right.
Sign me up.
That's why our big push with the Warrior 110 now. We partner with the Franklin Jiu-Jitsu Club with Jason and Scott. We're doing tournaments now. We're doing MMA tournaments here in Franklin, Indiana at the Johnson County Armory. We've got some more dates that we're going to release. We did a big, amazing show last May. It just sold out. It was unbelievable. We've got a jiu-jitsu. We're calling them super fights coming up on April 27th. We've got about, last time I checked, we got about 24 matches of all different skill levels and size, and ages all lined up. And this is about the community. So we're not trying to make, nobody's trying to put their kids through college on this stuff. We are first off, competitors, free. If you're competing, you and your coach are in free. If you're a spectator, we're charging between $10 and $12 for all day to come on in and watch all the matches. I mean, where are you going to find $10 to $12 worth of entertainment over an 8-hour period in your life? And then we, we're going to have some good food and beer and everything there. Just is about, just growing the community. Working with all these other gyms. I'm friends with so many other members and owners of other gyms in this area. And it just, man, I thoroughly enjoy being in that community, in that environment. It's just so mentally beneficial.
Yeah, it's nothing like it, man. Nothing like it. And that's awesome. I've been hearing a lot of people that's using jiu-jitsu to get through to people who have that's PTSD and veterans and stuff, and that's that's amazing in itself.
That's what we're doing now. We're trying to sign up. Franklin Jiu-Jitsu Club walked the point on this, and he's done amazing things. Jason's also a veteran, United States Army veteran himself. And we have not just military, we have a lot of law enforcement, a lot of fire service and different stuff, the whole sheepdog category, if you will, all the paramilitary people in there, both active and veterans. We get a lot of that in there, and we just really try to support that, because we do see the benefits the mental benefits to jiu-jitsu for all those that may be struggling with post-traumatic stress, for instance. And then let me put a pin in that to also elaborate. The thing is I always remind people, like, as a combat veteran or law enforcement official or anything like, we do not even remotely close have a monopoly on all things post-traumatic stress. There are so many people in our society walking around with post-traumatic stress from, less than stellar childhood, victim of sexual assault, part of a really horrific auto accident. It's everybody gets it gets set, and it gets instilled for different reasons at different levels, and there's no questioning it. There's no, and every once in a while you get that, well, mine's more than yours, and they start comparing it. That's ridiculous. There are so many people in our society that don't even realize it, that are suffering from the effects of post-traumatic stress, that they only will truly realize that they are or were once it starts to dissipate, once something in their life starts to give them that relief, that therapy. So why not try jujitsu and see if maybe there's just something you need to let go and let it do it for you. I mean, I can't say it enough. I know there's I think the University of Central Florida has done some studies on it. There's just a lot to it and a lot of benefits to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And because this was kind of made me start the podcast. I talked about this before, but I can't remember the page that shared it, but it was just basically about this lady was saying how she started jujitsu right after her son was killed in a car accident, I believe. I hope I'm explaining that right. But she was using jujitsu as her therapy to help her cope and manage through this, and then eventually she ended up falling in love with it.
That's amazing. I can identify with that to a point. Not the same scenario, obviously, but I get it. It's like something inside of you clicks that lets you release something that you were holding in that was, tormenting your soul. And a lot of times you don't even realize it, or maybe you're conscious of it and you see it as it unfolds and it happens. But regardless, it's just and here's the other thing. Maybe you don't have any of this. Maybe you don't need that. But what is the downside to this? I mean, what is the downside to do it? Oh, you accidentally got in better shape. You accidentally lived longer. You accidentally lived a fuller life with your family. You could actually go in the backyard and play with your children and not go have to sit your butt down in a lawn chair because you're winded 5 minutes in. It gives you a better quality of life. It's staying in shape. And I can't find anything that attacks both cardio and physical and mental all in one thing. And I love to lift. I like to go work out, stuff like that too. And I do get that, I'm assuming it equates to this. I still think it's a rumor, this runner's high. I get that from probably lifting this up, but nothing like jujitsu. Go to that. And then bonus, you actually learn how to defend you and your family.
Yeah, for sure.
I give me a blue belt, and I tell you that blue belt could probably ward off 99% of pick a bar.
Easily.
Now, I wouldn't recommend pulling guard on somebody in a bar because you're probably going to eat his best friend's foot. But
right.
I mean, you could defend. The ability. All women should do jujitsu. All women should do jujitsu. Absolutely, give your opportunity to defend yourself. And if I say all women, then obviously that implies definitely all men then as well. But I think law enforcement should require all of them. There's the reason why it's that color. Probably everybody in law enforcement should be at a minimum of blue belt.
Yeah, that's a solid fact. A solid fact.
First off, I don't want to see any more officers dying in the line of duty. Second, the other thing is when you have the ability and the confidence to take a guy out where you with just by controlling him and manhandling on the ground, you don't negatively damage him with strikes. You're able to control him without giving injury, make it hurt, but not make it injured, and to where you could subdue him and then put him in your squad, lock him up, cuff him, stuff him, whatever you want. And then also you're not as inclined to have to transition to your firearm if you feel confident enough to be able to handle it one-on-one with your bare hands. I don't, for the life of me, understand. If I was a law enforcement official, and I'm not, and I think they're all saints for what they do, I couldn't imagine not doing jujitsu. it would just how many officers, how many individuals, how many lives would be saved if all officers were either blue belt or working on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Because
mean,
I'm back when when George Floyd was killed, my instructor, we went over this. It's called the mock system. It's basically, you can do it by yourself or do it with a partner help you like
Mhm.
safely take some. If you have to take someone down, you can do it as a pair or by yourself.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's a retired cop, and he's showing us this stuff, and the first thing we think to ourselves is like, we learned this system where it was like I was able to be taken down, took somebody else down. I didn't have to worry about them hurting themselves or hurting me or hurting anybody else and blah blah blah. But then right after that, I see on social media, it's 7 or 8 cops tussling and wrestling with one guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this?
Yep.
What is this? This is madness.
Yeah, they're clearly lacking some simple things that could have shut that down rather quickly.
Yeah.
And I was, and they should. Why would you not? I mean, there's a saying we always said in the military: the more you sweat on the training field, the less you bleed on the battlefield. And
right.
I think whoever the elected officials that are above XYZ law enforcement agency, they should have it budgeted in there for those officers under, it's leadership, if they want to truly take care of their community, they could do so by taking care of their law enforcement officials and either provide them the training on a regular basis or put it in the budget where you can set up something where they can go to a local jiu-jitsu gym academy to where they can get that training. I think and quite frankly, I'd say the same thing for firefighters. It's usually the firefighters who usually end up wrestling with these folks. When you have an incident or something, and they get a little out of control in the back of the ambulance or on the fire scene when law enforcement isn't there yet, or they're not right there. A lot of times, I know a lot of firefighters, and they have had to wrestle people, especially based off of somebody on certain narcotics and drugs and stuff like that. I'd be all in for both fire and LE to have the opportunity to train in jiu-jitsu. I think it would be absolutely, and then it keeps them in shape. Keeps them in shape. A lot of those guys, the old joke about cops being all fat and overweight and everything. Well, they didn't hire them that way because you can't come on that way. But look at their job. They had to sit in that car freaking all day. You go sit in a car. You just like being a truck driver, everything. You go sit in a car for 8 to 12 hour shift and tell me you want to go, go run 3 miles at the end of the day. It's a tough job. But if they could do something with it, when it's within their community, like jiu-jitsu, I think it would just be unbelievably impactful. I know all the buddies of mine in our gym that are all cops. I know how much they tremendously just talk about the difference it makes in their lives.
Yeah. I mean, I can speak enough of how much jiu-jitsu has changed my life. But when we talk about like law enforcement and people that's always in these stressful environments, what I love about jiu-jitsu so much, every time you step into the gym, it's a quote unquote stressful environment. Because you're basically fighting for your survival.
Right.
Every time you step on the mat. But
your brain goes the same way. Your brain goes through the same process, no matter you're really in a real fight or you're just working out. You get down to that reptilian brain stem of yours, and that is the process. The same things drop inside your body, the same things adjust. Your heart rate's the same.
And so just imagine, you being a practitioner. Yeah, we'll just say up to a blue belt. You've been training enough to get your blue belt. That's what, 2 years, consistent
depending
training.
on the gym.
Yeah, depending on the gym. So imagine all those times where you had to be put in this stressful environment where you can safely think about your next move. So then when you get out into the real world and you get into these stressful environments, you handle yourself a whole lot better.
Yep.
You're thinking a whole lot more clear because it's like, okay, my body is used to this now. Granted, you don't have to worry about someone, stabbing you or shooting you while you're training, but it still kind of gets you in that right element. Like, okay, I know my situation. I can better view my surroundings. I can better focus on what's going on, and everybody can go home alive.
Well, one of the things we always talk about in the combatives world is the old what's better, boxing or wrestling, wrestling or boxing, and we get into the striking versus the grappling, and then and so forth and so on. And my answer is always both. They always say, well, most fights end on the ground. Well, all of them start on your feet.
Right.
But I would say this though. It is both. However, and this is coming from a guy who come up through striking. I was a striker. I wasn't a grappler.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this though, if I had to pick one, simply one, I could go back to 0 on the skill level of striking or jiu-jitsu, grappling, whatever you want to call it, and have a decent amount in the other. I'd take grappling. I'd take jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Here's why. If you can strike really well, you're going to do. But if it goes to the ground, you're done. If somebody can grab you and control you, there's nothing you can do. You're not striking anymore. There's nothing you can do. And you need knowledge to know how to get out of those holds. There is no, we see it, the spazzy athletic new kid that can't do, he's trying to out athleticize everybody. Doesn't work. Never works. And Lord knows you get a really decent blue belt, jump into his side control and lock in, he's going nowhere.
It's over.
If I get you down on the ground, I don't need to know how to strike. I can literally chimpanzee strike you. I'll figure it out. You will figure, Mongo smash. I mean, you'll figure that out. Or maybe you don't. But guess what? The entire time you have that person physically controlled, guess what they're not doing? They're not hurting you.
Attacking you. Yeah,
they're
exactly.
not hurting you. So if you want to call that neutral stalemate, well, it ain't a loss. And when you're fighting for real in your life, it's less about the win and more about not having the loss.
Yeah.
So I just for somebody and just to go do jujitsu for self-defense, it just to be able to especially like I speak to like women. The last thing a woman wants to do is let a male assailant between her legs, right? Well, the first thing you need to do is pull guard on the guy and put him between your legs, but you're not going to know that. Your instincts are going to tell you otherwise. But if you get if a woman has the ability to lock in a tight guard on a guy, pull in close or protect herself underneath, there's not a whole lot he can do from that position to her for a minute, and it gives her the opportunity to a little bit of time to at least hopefully maybe he just gives up on it or somebody comes a running. They always say, don't shout help. Everybody ignores that, shout fire. So maybe she's yelling fire and somebody comes and helps and wards them off. But there are some basic fundamentals they can learn in the first 3 to 6 months that can absolutely save their life. No question. I see them taking these classes. They're hitting the bags and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. I love that stuff. They're hitting the bag and stuff. Well, first off, usually they're attacked after they realize they're being attacked. I mean, they know they've gotten the memo after they're already in the ground, balled up. When has anybody ever been attacked by somebody you had the opportunity to square up? I mean, most women are attacked from behind, or the man is already on them before they know it, and they've they got them in tight. And you need to know what to do inside that clinch and that lockup on the ground. Not stand. You're not going to have an opportunity to square up. The Queensberry's rules and in box. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Because I've seen I just seen a video online where it was a female karate black belt was sparring or whatever you want to call it against a average Joe.
Yeah.
Don't know a lick of martial arts. And he was manhandling her.
Yep.
I'm like, that just shows you, like, yeah, striking's cool. Like you said, how many times are you going to be in a situation where the aggressor is going to announce that he's about to be aggressive? Like, oh yeah, I'm going to come for, I'm coming for you now. Like, no, it's going to be to the point where it's like, oh snap, someone, you're being grabbed or you're being snatched somewhere, and then that's when everything takes off.
Or the sucker punch. You don't even, and then you're already
right. But if you have some form of grappling understanding, you don't have to be efficient enough. You just have to know just this much more than that other guy.
Survive.
Enough to survive.
And here's the other thing: if you do jujitsu, and let's say you're a 130-pound female, and you are good at jujitsu. Let's say you're a white belt 3-stripe, working on getting your blue belt. You've been doing it about 1.5 years, 2 years, and some dude, 5'11", 250, attacks you, but he doesn't know what he's doing. He's got you on the ground, and you're fighting him off. But he's so strong and he's so big. He's pumping you. Guess what he's going to do before you? He's going to gas.
Yes. Yep.
He's not going to have your cardio. And we know this in jiu-jitsu matches and fights and anything competitive in martial arts. What usually wins? Gas tank. Cardio.
Yeah.
Cardio.
Yep.
Yep. So if you can fight this guy, you may be getting beat up in the process, but you're surviving. Trust me, they're going to be throwing everything they can at you for the first 30 to 90 seconds, and they're going to hit a wall, and they're going to try, and you'll have that opening to escape and retreat.
Yeah. And ironically, I use that for myself when I'm rolling with guys bigger than me.
Yeah.
Like
well,
we have
I can't
a guy.
use my cardio for guys bigger than me anymore because I'm old, man. My cardio's garbage. But I use some flexibility and just some life savvy. And I joke around all the time with these stud blue belts that we have in these young 25-year-old guys that are you just see them getting better every practice. And I tell them all the time, I say, here in about 1.5 years, I'm not rolling with you anymore. I'm done. You'll start pummeling me, and then I'm a let you go.
Right. Because we got a white belt. He has a good wrestling background, and we were rolling I think it was like Sunday and we're going, and I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm about to match this dude's strength. I'm not. So he was in my guard. Every time he tried to pass, I recomposed guard. I'm just reaching for grips and just frustrating the hell out of him as much as I can. And then once I heard that deep breath when he was exhausted, I was like, boom, there goes my sweep. And now I'm, in top position. Yeah.
With the bigger guys, I do my best to keep them in my guard. I use a lot of open guard. I don't use closed guard very often, especially the big guys. I feel like I burn a lot of O2 from the muscles that you expend locking it. I'll do it for a while, but you're not going to have to fight me much to get it open because I like to use knee shield. I like to select it. I like to transition into butterfly a lot. And then if you're really smashing me, I have to, my last ditch effort, I'll lock you into a half guard and I'm just going to keep that thing. So,
yeah.
And I'll just wait. Like I just said, I'm not telling anybody to do anything I don't do myself. Like a minute ago, I was talking about, women just being able to fight them off for 60 to 90 seconds, just out cardio them. Well, here's the thing. If you know how to do that cardio, I'm out cardioing them, and it's not because my cardio is better. It's because I'm not using it.
I'm not using it. I'm not burning myself out.
I'm just laying there. I'm doing enough to keep them off me. Not going to get my limbs. I'm fighting like a T-Rex. Keep my arms close. I'm locking in my guard, and I'm just letting you. And they're just diving into everything, and then I'm just doing my best to survive. And then in the latter half of the round, now I can do what I do.
Yep.
It's just age and wisdom, I think. If I could put this brain in the body I had at 32, good Lord, nothing would have stopped me.
Oh man,
that's not how it works.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
I mean, if I could get one, just being an advocate for this thing we love called jiu-jitsu, if I could get just one veteran to get in there and do it, hypothetically just one, we're getting a lot, and it changed something to where it took him off that bad dark path that he, thinking about not being here anymore. That's a huge win. If I could do it to that one individual that came in, and then one day, and I'll speak specifically to for a female who came in, started doing jiu-jitsu, and then one day it saved her life. That's a huge win, and I'll tell you what, Jiu-jitsu is about, being able to combat somebody bigger and stronger than you anyway. It's the perfect martial art. We've got one female instructor in our gym, purple belt. She is a badass, and she's not big. I mean, she's very athletic looking. You can tell she does a lot of lifting and stuff like that, but she's not anything she's very feminine looking. She and she does, and I just laugh when I see these guys go over this, the new guys swim over like, oh, girl. So I guess this is a round off. I'm like, you better welcome to a leg lock.
Good luck.
then you see him 5 minutes later when they've tapped 3 or 4 times, and he's like, what the hell just happened to me? I'm like, she did. That's what happened to you.
Right.
Yeah, and she's not. I mean, she's not some big specimen. She was never going to play, center for a Division I women's basketball team or anything like that. She's 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing, and she's a machine.
That's funny, man.
Yeah,
I love that though,
and she will never be somebody's victim ever. And I always say, why would you? And I tell anybody this, men, women, but especially women, why in the world would you outsource your safety? Why would you outsource your safety? Bring that stuff home. Be able to defend yourself. And you know what? Your kids, your family.
Yeah. That should be your main reason.
Now, I will say this. Let me add this. So that instructor I was talking about, she has a huge benefit. She's engaged to one of our black belts, who's a big, monstrous black belt. So she gets the extra tutelage, So they're a really couple of great people, and we're a huge benefit to having in our gym.
Yeah. There's nothing like a good team, man. A good team. It takes a gym leveled up so high.
Absolutely. It's culture.
Yeah.
Culture. Yeah. And I tell people all the time, I've been on this planet long enough. I've been in the military for over 20 years. I've owned several businesses over the years. I've had a lot of teams. I've hired, unfortunately, had to fire many of people in my lifetime. And I've learned a long time ago that culture is everything. If you have to ask yourself if somebody in the group needs to go, you already know the answer. Do not let them bring everybody else down. Less is more. Sometimes you need to remove that toxic individual or individual. Then of course that's after you've tried to work with them, tried to adjust their way of thinking, their approach, and what they bring to you. But if you get to the point where if you're having to have the conversation about it, you already know the answer. Get them out of there. That we have such an amazing culture in our gym, bunch of really solid, good guys, leadership within the instructors and everything. That it's not lost on me, having been in good environments and bad environments many times in my lifetime, to how blessed I am to be a part of Jason and Scott's gym. For it to be in my backyard. I mean, it's 5 minutes from my home and 5 minutes from my office.
That's dope. Can't beat that.
I'm blessed.
Yeah. I definitely I always shout out my instructor, Zachary Holston. He's been my instructor since I started doing jiu-jitsu, and I've learned a lot from him on and off the mats. And I couldn't ask for a better instructor.
Well, my head instructor, the one that got me going, was a gentleman by the name of Jay Huntsucker. Been a black belt for a long time under Bruce Shepard with the Jiu-Jitsu Academy out of Evansville. And I knew Jay through the Franklin College football alumni group. He was former All-American defensive end, big, huge guy. He's a monster. That's why we call that thing the Grizz Cave. And he got me going. He was the one that reached out to me and said, hey, I got something for you. You need to try this. Come in, and yada, yada. And then under him, Jason earned his black belt. But because Jay's pushing 70, so I do a lot more. I just always did a lot more one-on-one with Jason Ramey, who's now the proprietor of the gym. So he's been my direct instructor, but Jay's the one that got me going. He's still right there. He's in my chain of command, if you will. That's what we use in the military, or my jiu-jitsu family tree up to Bruce and so forth and so on. It's very beneficial to have those guys to impart all the time. knowledge, and it's how do you put a price on that?
You can't, man. It's so impossible to.
It's like little things. I'm 51 years old. So at 47, 48, I was a white belt, brand new guy. I've done a lot of stuff in my lifetime. I've accomplished a lot, but it doesn't matter. When I go in there, I'm a white belt. And so I was always real big. When we're done, go grab the mop. Mop the mats, do the mat. Instructors should, now they will, but they really, if you've got a good group of guys in there, your instructor should never have the opportunity to touch any of the cleaning supplies. When that session's over, they just imparted all that knowledge on you. And I'm not just talking about the instructors that are paid there. How much one-on-one time do we spend with other black belts, other brown belts in there that impart their knowledge? So why wouldn't you reciprocate that gift by just taking care of that stuff? So, and I think that's a part of the culture. I as a purple belt, I'll still grab it, but we've got a really good culture going on and within our gym where the white belts and the blue belts, as soon as they're done, they're not over there changing and stuff. They immediately go get the mop, the mats, because we're pretty OCD about making sure those mats are clean.
Yeah.
Nobody needs any kind of skin stuff. They get in there and they take care of those mats, and it's not subservient. It's not, what they call, bitch details or anything. No, you just had these guys impart all their knowledge to you essentially for free. These guys didn't get paid to do that. Why would you not? Hey, let me take care of that. I owe you that one. If I'm ever a black belt, one of these days when I'm probably 107, if I live that long, I just know that I would appreciate that. It would be just such a thank you. So it's either that or buy me a beer or 7. But I just think it's the right thing to do. It's just this little nod, nothing said, of respect and thanks for what they've just imparted on you. And I think it creates a really good vibe, a really good culture. And it's not, just check that's the one thing they always say about jiu-jitsu. You better check your ego at the door.
Check that ego.
Check that ego. You check that ego or somebody else will.
I would say, or we'll check that ego or we'll check it for you.
Yep. And then your ego is usually the first thing that gets choked.
Oh yeah. I done seen some people come and go, man. They came in thinking they're one way, and then they got on the mats and got taught something else, and they never showed back up.
Or the guy that's going and he just doesn't think he's getting promoted fast enough, because it's more than just this and this and this. They for whatever reason, they don't think they're getting promoted fast enough, and they quit and they go to another gym or something like that. And they usually find out, well, you're about where we're at. And I will tell people, our gym promotes a little bit slower than most. We're in the right spectrum, but we're usually to the slow end. Because would you rather be a really, really good white belt or a shitty blue belt? Exactly. when you get promoted in our gym, you rate that belt. There's no question. The last thing we want is all these jiu-jitsu academies that are popping up all over the country, which is amazing, to kind of get sucked into the business side of things, like what happened to karate and taekwondo and everything in the 70s and 80s, where they started just, in 3 years, you could be a black belt. And I look over there and there's a 12-year-old wearing a black belt. I'm like, get out of here. Come on, man. That 12-year-old, the 12-year-old still doesn't know, how to break down a sentence. He's not, it turned into a manufacturing, like they were just selling belts, and just getting dues and talking parents into sending their kids to whatever, and just so they could maybe expend some energy and be calmer at home. I don't know, but it unfortunately took 2 really great martial arts and it really just diluted them to the point where, like, anybody says they're like, well, I do this, I'm like, okay, but okay. I need to know more. It's just, if you just tell, there's people out there, there's karate practitioners out there that this is some real deal stuff. And then there's but there's a lot out there that have just made that, it makes you have to ask. Jiu-jitsu, I'd hate to see jiu-jitsu fall into that same trap where you just you're trying to get and keep guys by just maybe promoting them too fast. It's setting them up for failure. I mean, there's tournaments are exploding all over the country right now, right? So we got tournaments there's no shortage of places to go compete at your belt, at your age, at your weight. There's play. So if you go there and you get murdered, well, you might have got promoted too fast.
I mean, it's not about color, man. It's about what you gain, how far you've grown in this sport. And I still get looked at weird when I tell people like, yeah, I got my black belt last year. I've been training for like it's been like 6.5 years.
Everybody's on a different journey.
Everybody's on a different journey. It's not saying that I'm the best because I got it in a shorter time than say 10 years.
Right.
But there's people that's been training less than me that's better than me.
Yeah.
I
have black belts that I have that I do well against. And then I have black belts that just it's like me rolling with my 13-year-old daughter. It's just bad. It's not gonna and then conversely, I've got some blue belts that it is what it is. And then there's some blue belts. I'm like, I got to be on my game or this guy's gonna get me.
Get me quick.
And your journey is not just based on your ability to tap people. It's like, you get the guys like, well, I tap out everybody. That doesn't mean anything. It's part of it. That you're tapping them. Are you doing it are you really actually hitting the moves, or are you just some gifted former college wrestler who knows how to just ground and pound and you're just making it uncomfortable and you're tapping guys that just aren't in the position yet to have figured out how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Because I always ask, if when people come and say like, oh, I should be this color belt, or I should be this and this and that. And it's like, I ask myself, want to ask them, like, why do you feel like you deserve to be whatever belt that you are? And do not say, because I've been this belt for X amount of years. Right. Does that mean nothing? That doesn't mean nothing. Like, what are you contributing to the sport? What are you contributing to your gym? What are you giving back to what are you giving back to jiu-jitsu that you've gotten? That's
it's
what makes you your
things. It's a balance. It's ability. It's being able to sub people or with well executed moves. It is time. Part of it. So you've been doing it this long. The other thing is the one thing I really like about jiu-jitsu, based compared to most of the martial arts I've been around my entire life. It's very similar to the non-commissioned officer ranks in the military, the NCOs, the sergeants, if you will. What you're also great on is, in the military. So you take an infantry squad leader, who's a staff sergeant. His job is to make sure his two team leaders that are usually either buck sergeants or corporals, those guys, if he goes down, those guys should be able to step up and do his job. That's when he's doing a good job. So as a purple belt, my job is to make that blue belt better, not just smash him and go through. So are you imparting your knowledge? Right. I'll go back to what I was talking about, this gift that we all pass along, that we receive a ton of in the front end, and then you start to impart yours. Am I sharing my knowledge to white belts and blue belts? That's what I should be graded on as well. Are you contributing back to your gym by, because the instructor is going to get up. There's 20 some guys in the class. He can't teach everybody one-on-one. So when he puts out his instruction, say we're working on this move or this escape or whatever that day, then you all pair up and you start working on it. Usually you pair up with more of a senior guy to more of a junior guy. And that senior guy should be helping coaching that junior guy. That purple belt or brown belt should be helping that blue belt or white belt, or a blue belt helping a white belt. That's part of it as well. I think that we've got a couple of guys in our gyms that have worked their way up, and even as a purple belt, I look at them and like, these guys are great instructors. They're just they share their knowledge with all these new guys. That makes me want to do better at that. I should be working with these guys more. And I think that's a big part of it, and I think that helps with that culture we're talking about.
Mhm.
You feel like there's times I don't want to go to the gym, but I know at this time frame, blah 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 blah. It's going to be me, one other brown belt usually, and about 7 or 8 white belts. I'm like, that brown belt can't teach just all those white belts. I feel obligated to show up to help. I'm not the instructor. I'm just the assistant instructor at that point.
Mhm.
I'm helping them just execute some of the finer points in the moves or something, letting them work with it. But I feel an obligation. I'm not just going there for my selfish reasons so I can learn. Those days I'm there more to give than to receive with respect to knowledge.
Yeah, and as an instructor, that makes your job so much easier when you have guys that you can depend on
Yeah.
to help teach the lesson. Because like you said, if you got, luckily it's me and my, my training partner. He's a black belt, so we both instruct class. But we have a purple belt, we even have a blue belt that we just hear them teaching other people, and we'll just sit back and watch. We'll be like, all right.
You'll correct something if you see some misinformation go out. You'll jump in and do a spot correction. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But sometimes I will say this. Sometimes I have learned, like I've had a black belt showing me a move, and I've had a blue belt. This is when I was a white belt, like a blue belt showing me the same move, and I learned it better from the blue belt only because the blue belt is still methodically working through that move himself. So he knows every little step, and sometimes in a black belt, it's like this: boom, 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 I'm done. It's second. You're not thinking about those little micro adjustments that you need to. I need to do this. I know you do it, but you don't know you do it, so you don't impart it. It's just part of it. Sometimes the blue belt will break it down. I always say Barney style a little bit better for you, so just that you get every little aspect of it so you can work on it. And that's what the big thing I always talk about these young guys, the new guys, as they start to progress, they get out of that drinking from the fire hydrant phase of the first 3 months, and they really start seeing it, and they're embracing it, and they're trying, they're going, and they're working real hard to try to pass my guard or jump into some sort of a submission or diving at your neck or something like that. They always end up skipping steps into one move. And I'm like, there's always 10 smaller steps inside of one big step. And I said, you need to keep trying each step individually. Take your time to do that. Fail at each little step along the way, and you'll get to being able to accomplish the entirety of the move far faster than if you just if you're just trying to finish. If you're just trying to finish, because you're skipping all these little steps, and you're never going to get there. And athleticism is only going to take you so far.
Yes, it's only gonna take you so far. Only gonna take you so far. Like I know everybody, we have a blue belt. He's a very strappy young kid, and I know he wants to be that quick guy because he's the smallest guy in the classroom. Yep. But I tell him like, dude, like you have it. I see it working working for you. Just sometimes you just have to slow down, man. Mm-hmm. You just have to slow down. Like you can still be quick and agile and explosive, but you can still do it at a slower pace.
Yeah. Well, there's a saying that we use in the military, like doing urban mount training, clearing rooms and stuff, is slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Smooth is fast.
Mm-hmm. Slow is smooth is fast. And I just tell us, like, look, just assume each move has 10 integral there's separate little movements. Get the first movement done. Boom, move into the second, and then you fail. And then pretty soon you're not failing a second. So you're getting all the way to the third. Then you get ready. You guys are trying to jump all the way to 10, and you're going to never get there. Once you learn to slow down, hit every little step of the way in such a fluid movement that it looks like just one move, that's when you're going to get really good at this stuff. That's when you're going to, and so many people, and everything in life, we have equated to failure as being the opposite of success, and that is so wrong.
So wrong.
Failure is the path to success. It's the steps. The only way to have success is to fail. That's your building block. When you go to the gym and you lift, you lift to what? Failure. You want your muscles to fail so they can build back stronger so you can grow and lift more. It's the same in everything. You have to continue to, I work as a business consultant, and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs that have had, a business failing. even a bankruptcy. And I'm like, shit, a bankruptcy is it's a red badge of courage for a real entrepreneur. It's like the Purple Heart. You know, hey, you took a hit, but you leaned into it. You fail falling forward. You lean into it. You keep moving, and that's just part of the process. Who bats 1,000 in the major leagues? You're not going to.
Right.
And you're going to literally in baseball. The greatest players of all time hit 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. If you average 300, you were a great baseball player. 3 out of 10. What? So I'm supposed to bat 1,000 in life and everything? That's insane. Embrace losing. Lean into losing and turn your losing into win. You don't lose, you learn.
You learn.
Go in there, fail. And I encourage you guys, keep trying new moves. Keep trying this. Keep diving for things. Don't be conservative on the mat with your movements. Go after things. Go after things, knowing that you're going to lose. He's going to shut this down. It's going to happen. But you're never going to be able to execute that move unless you fail at that thing 1,000 times. I'll give you one move that's kind of in my arsenal that I use a lot is a Kimura. Kimura from, while I have somebody in my guard, I'll go after that a lot. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we have a lot of big guys in my gym, and I usually ended up with people in my guard. I'm always fighting for my back. And so I just kept working. Man, I would fail and fail and fail and fail, but I kept shooting at it, and I kept shooting at it, and getting kind of pretty good at it. Decent. I mean, you give me a really decent black belt, he's going to see it coming, he's going to shut it down. But my peer level group, more times than not, I can successfully hit that thing and either use it as a sub or a sweep or something. It's a pretty safe thing to attack, because the worst thing you do is you just end up back on your back and you're right where you started. You're in guard and you're not threatened. But I just kept plugging away at that move. And then I started figuring out contingencies to that move. So when I hit it and I miss and I can't shut it down, I shift my body and go and try to execute a omoplata, and reach out, I just keep, and all my follow-on moves that came from what? Failing at the first
failure.
Failure.
Yes, sir.
I eat failure like cereal for breakfast. Give me another bowl, man. I'm hungry. Let me have some more failure in my life, because every time you fail, you've propelled yourself forward that much closer to a win in life. It's like when I've trained a lot of sales forces, and I was like, an unasked question's an automatic no. You've just given yourself a no. You got a shot at you got at least a shot at maybe getting a yes if you just ask the damn question. So just try the damn move. You never know. It could be his worst day, so keep trying. Always throw it out there. I say you got to throw a lot of stuff on the wall, but the thing is we know what stuff is. You got to throw a lot of shit on the wall, but shit sticks to shit better than it does the wall. So once it's on you, you start dogpiling it. You keep throwing, but the first thing you got to do is you got to keep throwing it and it falls. Throw it and it falls. Okay. Just keep failing to something stick.
Got to keep it. Got to keep going.
You just aggressively lean into losing, and you will become a winner way faster in life. And anything you do, there is. They always say there's no recipe for success. Yeah, there is. The
failure.
Well, it's failing leads to it. But the other thing, they always say, well, work smart, not harder. Well, the smartest way to work usually is hard. So how about both? How about both?
Right. Why not both? Right.
Yeah.
That's very insightful stuff, man. And I couldn't agree more with you on that. But so we asked everybody that comes on the show, because we got to wrap it up. We ask everybody that comes on the show, past or present, if you can get a chance to roll with anybody, who are the top 3 people you would love to get a chance to roll with?
Top 3.
Yeah, no particular order, but your top 3.
Rickson Gracie. Probably will last about 2 seconds. And that's just because it takes me 2 seconds to tap. He is who he is, and I just would like to experience how great that is. It's just a different animal, right? I've got to roll with a lot of great guys. One of my very good friends is who I'm going to get set up to come on your podcast, who I train with pretty regularly, is Chris Lights Out Lytle. Business partner of mine on a venture. We have the Lights Out Bourbon together, and I've gotten to roll with him. And I joke around. I'm like, y'all worried about being the biggest fish in the pond? Well, that guy's the alligator. Good luck. And I watched him roll with Jake Shields, and what a barn burner of a match that was. And it's like, holy crap, but so I have had an opportunity to roll some great guys. I mean, all the black belts in my gym as well. I think I would put Jean-Jacques Machado in there. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who had no excuses. No excuses. Man. Look at that guy. He had the issue with his hand at birth, and he is one of the greatest ever to do it. To do it. So I guess I'm picking guys that I have just a tremendous amount of respect for. Just if they were to offer me the opportunity to share the mat with them, knowing that it wouldn't last long, it would just be such an honor. And then lastly, man, I want this one to be a good one. Let's see here. Man, that's tough. I've got it down to a few. You know what? Fellow veteran, Tim Kennedy. I would love the opportunity to fellow combat veteran. He's an amazing, sniper, ranger, special forces, UFC stud. Those three guys, just out of pure, unadulterated respect for them and what they've contributed to this whole thing, and knowing that I'm never going to be as good as any of those guys at any point. I mean, I'm a little long in the tooth to even have those aspirations. That it would be an honor to roll with, to be murdered by any three of those.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's a, like, Jean-Jacques Machado is definitely on my list. My list changes every now and then, but him and like any,
Oh, if you asked me tomorrow, I might have three different ones.
Of course. You
could ask me 10. I gave you 10.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, all right, Brian, man. Unless you got any questions for me, man, fire away. If not, let the people know what you got going on. Shout out your school. Anything else, man? The floor is all yours.
Well, first off, I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come in and share this time with you on your podcast. It's awesome. I love what you're doing with it. This is you giving back to the whole community of jiu-jitsu, and you should be applauded for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, first off, like I mentioned earlier in this podcast, I started an organization called the Warrior 110. That's Warrior 110. You can look up, it's thewarrior110.org, or look it up on Facebook, the Warrior 110 on Facebook. You'll find it. We help raise awareness and funds to help veterans struggling with post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injuries, very similar symptoms. And those are the two things that lead to the epidemic that is veteran suicide. That is just, we're still losing 22 a day. I heard a statistic about 3 years ago, they started, I think we're down to 17. I'm like, that's from attrition. We're running out, man. That's a stupid statistic. And then I also heard a statistic the other day, they're counting 22. That's within 3 months of leaving the military. They're not counting the rest of them. So it's just insane. And here's the thing. Whenever we go to war, our trauma medicine knowledge goes through the roof. The learning curve goes vertical because all these doctors have the opportunity with all these traumatic injuries and everything every day to work and learn how to treat those things. Well, who benefits from that? All of society. So there's always something positive and something negative. Well, this time, and we've never really done it before ever in the history of this planet that I'm aware of, definitely in this country, we need to make sure that learning curve stays vertical on the invisible wounds of war, the combat, the post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injuries, which also benefits all the, like I said earlier, we do not have a monopoly on those things. So it'll benefit so many people in society if we could just keep giving these smart guys with their alphabets behind their names, the women and men, the doctors that do this, that study this and everything, just keep talking about it, keep the awareness up so they still have the opportunity to keep focusing on it. And we do a lot of things throughout the year. We're really heavily leaning into trying to get veterans opportunities in gyms. I'll reach out to gyms on their behalf, see, work with them to getting them in there in a gym somewhere close to wherever they live. We'll do a lot of the legwork, make the calls and everything, try to get that set up for them. But that's our big push moving forward. We have, and I partner a lot with the owners, Jason and Scott from the Franklin Jiu-Jitsu club, aka the Grizz Cave, as we call it. We do different MMA matches and bouts here in Franklin, Indiana. We have a grappling jiu-jitsu, we call them super fights, coming up on April 27th. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll see a link to that event on there. We're going to have about 24 matches of various different, from black belt down to white belt, just guys from all different kinds of academies all over Indiana. I think some coming from some neighboring states. That's going to be, and that's just us giving back to the community, enhancing the community, getting all the gyms to work together. And I mean, if for instance, no one's trying to put their kids through college on this thing, if we break even on this and raise some money for veterans after that, we're going to be really happy. We're a partner with a great organization like Chili Water Brewing, who's doing the beer and stuff. They donate a bunch of money back to our non-for-profit. But competitors don't have to pay to get in. Entry, if you're competing, you're in for free. So is your coach. Don't have 7 coaches, please. and one coach. And then, but participant, or not just participant, but people that are going to come to watch us, we're charging $10-12 at the door. That's it, all day. It's just about bringing everybody together and having some good natured competitions with this stuff. It's going to be a mixture of gi, no gi, different belts, different rules. It's going to be a great time. All that information is on our Facebook page. You've either the Franklin Jiu-Jitsu Club page or the Warrior 110s page on Facebook. And then you could also go to our website. And I encourage people, if you have any questions of me, you ever want to reach out to me, you can message me right into that Facebook messenger on the page. I answer all those myself. I've not delegated that. I may not get onto it right away, but I promise I'll get onto it as fast as possible. So, but that's the big and the long and the short of how I've tied that all together and in my life, the jiu-jitsu, the working with the veterans and everything, and then I always say life's good, man. It's working out real well.
That's good, man. And I wish you all the best, man. I wish you all the best, and it would be awesome to see you save every single veteran, but the ones you have reached out to and saved, I bet they are very, very happy they met you. And like I said, I hope you get it to reach out to a whole lot more people, man.
Thank you.
That's awesome what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, man. That's the end of today's episode. I would love to thank Brian one more time for coming on the show and blessing us with his jiu-jitsu knowledge. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please go and follow our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits Podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day. All right, my brother.